All right, so chapter 9 was all about demonstrative pronouns like hic, allay, and iste, stuff like that, and also the unus nata, first, second, irregular adjectives. So unus nata, those take a couple special endings that you'll have to memorize, but the key thing here is that the genitive singular of the unus nata takes the ius, and the dative singular I. And that's on the packet that I have. It's on the first, second adjective page in noun adjective agreement. I just wrote it down here for your viewing pleasure. So for chapter 9, exercises number 4, start out just like any sentence in terms of grabbing your verb, grabbing your nouns, and then identifying everything else, right? We have these two should look pretty familiar since that's what this chapter was about. These are two of your unus nata adjectives. Regular adjective here, and then an adverb right here at the end of the sentence. You might be familiar with tum. It means then. All right, so for the verb, starting with that, dabit, from do, dare, dedi, datis. I put that in the vocab in the bottom left. But we have seemingly dropped the re and added a bit, right? So from your verb chart, you can see for a first, second conjugation verb, when you add bit, bottom left there, that puts you down in the future tense. And the future tense, third person, singular. So now we're on the hunt for a singular subject. Just keep that in mind. The other thing with do, dare being to give, we're on the hunt for an indirect object. It doesn't have to be there, but it's a good indication that there will be one. So that is a dative case noun or something like that. So speaking of nouns, let's go to those. So the only two that we have that are direct nouns in the sentence are copiam and pecuniae. So copiam comes from copia, copiae. Just first declension. My bad. So it's feminine. The am means we only have one choice here. It's accusative singular feminine. Plainum, it's just agreeing nicely there as a first, second declension adjective. It's plainum copiam. Pecuniae is where it gets interesting. So pecuniae, first, second declension again from pecunia, I. We have a couple options. We have dative genitive singular, and we have nominative plural. Well, we know that it can't be nominative plural because our subject is singular from dabit over here. So we can write either of these down for now, but we know that it's either genitive or dative singular. The last two things in the sentence that we haven't really gone are neuter and alteri, and these are the focus of this chapter, right? So neuter is neuter, neutra, neutrum. It's that irregular first, second part of unus nata, but just here we know that from neuter, nothing special, right? Nominative singular masculine. However, for alteri, it means alter, altera, alterum. But see what I wrote up here? Genitive singular ius, dative singular e. What do we have? Dative singular. So now we can start translating. So we know that our subject has to have neuter on it, but we don't have any noun as our subject. So this is actually a substantive adjective. So we are subbing in place for a noun. So instead of neither whatever, it's just neither, right? That is the subject of the sentence. So neither man, neither person, neither whatever, neither one. I'll say one. What are they doing? They are dabiting. I'll say the adverb first, but then will give, right? Since we're future. And what are they giving? The direct object, accusative, the copiam. Not just the copiam, the planum copiam, a full amount, full number. And now we have an interesting choice here. So we have a genitive dative, right? So a full amount to money or a full amount of money. I think it's pretty natural which one we'll pick. That is, then we can assign that as a genitive, right? not dative, but singular. But we're still on the hunt for a direct object, and we still have a dative in the sentence, right? Or an indirect object. And guess what? That's what alter is. It's another substantive adjective. So not just to the other, but to the other one or whatever. That is the direct, it's taking the place of a noun, right? So to the other. And you can imply a one, right? The other person. And that's it for number 4. For number 6, same process. Grab our verb. Oddly enough, it's in the middle here, yeah? The main verb. But we do have an infinitive lurking around here at the end. We'll go ahead and assign that. For some help out here on poterit. I think I've done this trick before, but it comes from possum, right? Posse. So that little ending form of sum can kind of clue you into what tense and what person it is. So for possum, it's sum, right? It's first person singular present. But we have erit, poterit. So erit is the form of sum that is third person singular future. So what do we think that poterit is? Well, it is third person singular future tense. He, she, it will be able to. Underline our nouns. Labor, kopios. We just saw this one in the last sentence. Underline our pronouns. I'll do a little squiggly line. And then anything else. We have an adverb and another. Here's one of our unus nata. This is the unus part, except it's unius in this case. We'll get there later. It's not an adverb, my bad. Adjective. So labor comes from labor, laboris. So nothing fancy, nominative singular. It is masculine. So that is our subject, right? That is what is being that is what is poteriting. So we can go ahead and start. So the effort. Unius, well, from above, if you remember I said for these unus nata, the genitive singular is ius, right? What do we have here? Ius. Not too hard to tell then. This is genitive singular, so we're talking about of one person, of someone. So we can say of one person. And poterit, but not poterit, numquam poterit, will never be able. Numquam never be able from the poterit. To do what? To vincere, to conquer, to overcome. And we haven't done this one yet, but has kopias. So kopia, I, first declension, as, straightforward, accusative plural, feminine. So there's our direct object. But has is our demonstrative pronoun, right? It comes from hekaicote, which means this or these in plural. If you pull up your hekaicote demonstrative pronoun chart, whichever one you choose to use, not this one, but this one. So in the bottom area there, bottom middle, you can see that has is an accusative plural feminine ending, yeah, for hekaicote. So it's not an adjective, but it agrees in gender number case with whatever it's is pointing out. So it's these, right? Not just numbers, but these numbers. These ones specifically, we're pointing it out. We're showing it using this pronoun. These numbers specifically. Interestingly enough, it's most of the demonstratives and intensives, when they're in plural, they decline just like first, second declension. So we see as, right? It almost looks like an adjective at that point. The singulars can be pretty irregular, but the plurals are generally straightforward. You'll see that they look the same if it's a first, second noun. So nulli magistri tamen sub isto vera docere audebant. Audebant, as I just ended there, verb form, or verb. This one should be easy, right? Noun, brand new pronoun that you probably learned this chapter. Any natural agreement. I'll give you the borders of the prepositional phrase to help you out. Sub is a preposition that takes the ablative. Okay, so starting with the verb, audebant. It's from some audio, audere. So we've dropped the re, added a bant. The bant at this point should clue you in that we are in imperfect tense. So this should be pretty straightforward. Imperfect, plural, third person. They were. Right? Third person. They were doing. They were daring in this case. Who is they? Well, we need to find our nouns. Magistri is magister, magistri. Second declension. Masculine. So that gives us either genitive singular or nominative plural. It's at the beginning of the sentence and we have a plural subject from our verb. It's a good inference here that we're nominative plural. Another check, however, is this nulli, which from its position is pretty much guaranteed to be modifying magistri, the end the same as well, is part of our unus nata, right? Our unus nata declines normally except for the genitive singular and the dative singular, right? If magistri was genitive singular, it would not be nulli, it would be nullius, I-U-S. That's not what we have. So since it's not nullius, we know that it's just agreeing and that we are good. This is a good check. Tamen is an adverb, nothing special there. It means nevertheless or however. The last two here are wera and isto. Starting with wera, comes from verum, weri, neuter, second declension, noun. There are two options then, using those parentheses endings in the second declension columns. We could have nominative plural, or we could have accusative plural. We already have picked out our subject, so it's very doubtful that this will be a nominative plural. So this is accusative plural, it's neuter. Lastly, we have isto. We could wait on that, but if you, I don't have a chart for you actually, but if you find your isto chart, you'll see that the only option isto can be is an ablative singular. And guess what? That agrees with sub. So that shows how sub, isto is the object of the preposition sub, or sub. So now we can piece it all together, right? I'll leave out the preposition until the very end. So nulli magistri. No teachers. This is the subject. Tamen. Like I said, however, or nevertheless. What were they doing? They were, since we're imperfect, daring to do what? Not to dream, but to teach. That's what teachers do. To docere. What? They're teaching what? Well, the direct object, the wera. Truths, or true statements, true facts, you know. And then sub isto, under. And isto is kind of a pronoun, filling in for a noun. Under that guy, under that person, under that man, you know. Under that one. In the context of the sentence, we would likely know who that person is, right? Who we're referring to, but we'll just generalize it here. Someone specific. So last exercise here that I've picked out. So kind of a two-phraser here, three, I guess. So we have a couple of verbs going on here. This one here is good for parallel construction. But oddly enough, I'm looking around. I only see one noun, one true noun in the sentence. Three verbs, interesting. However, a lot of pronouns. And a lot of, this is an adjective. And this is an adjective. So this is an adverb, and this is an adverb. So let's start just with our verbs. So remonet. Monet. Sorry. Let me put that for you. Okay. Remonet comes from Romanio, Romanere. Okay. So Romanere, we are dropping an RE and adding an NT. So that makes it present, right? This isn't a third conjugation verb. This is present. Present. Third person. And what is it? It is plural. Now let's move on to adunt. It comes from ado, adere. However, it's adunt. That's interesting. I don't really see a UNT here on this chart, right? Well, that's because ado is a little irregular. It's actually the main example of this chapter, but adunt is the present form. We have a U there. So we are keeping, and this is very common with parallel construction, that you will have the same type of conjugation on your, or the same, conjugations of, tense and number and person on your verbs. Lastly, discunt. Discunt means to learn, to get to know, to discover. Very similar to adunt. It is a third conjugation, but present third person plural. So that's very top left, same thing, dropping in RE, but we have a U vowel because we're in the special conjugation. Drop the RE, add the NT, and switch it to a U. So now we just have these pronouns and adjectives to do, and I will go ahead and decline them, or to, decline them. So illy, from your Alayala Alud chart, I do have that chart for you, top on this page. But illy, you have limited options here. So you have masculine, nominative plural, or you have dative singular. Right? Those are our two options. Nominative plural, masculine, or dative singular. Well, we have no other subject in this first phrase, right? Dum illi ibi rabanant. We know that our subject is plural. We have no noun else to take. And there's no real, Romanio is not like a verb of giving or sparing, so there's no real indication that we're going to have a direct object here. So the safe bet is to take this as a nominative plural. So dum, I'll start with dum. Dum just means meanwhile or while. While, dum. Illy means that, or in plural, those. So if we're taking this as plural, those men, those guys, those guys. Since we're masculine, I'll say men. Those men are remanenting, right? They are remanent. They remain where? Ibi, adverb there. There coming from ibi, like I said. Well, those guys remain there, stay there. Alii nihil adunt. So we saw this earlier, but we're back to doing this substantive adjective thing. So we know that our subject is plural. Alii from the first second is very similar to be nominative plural, to be dative singular. Or actually, it can't be daves. Alii would be dative singular, yeah. So it can be nominative plural, it could be dative singular, but we're going to take it as a nominative plural because it's the only really thing that makes any sense to imply here. Because we have this ali. It's a very common construction that ali will mean one part of people and another part of people. the either, the other. This is something that is pretty common, the ali ali. So one part, I guess you could say some or several. Some auto is just something to do, to make. Some do nihil. Some of them. I'll actually imply the men again. Some men do nothing, right? And the others, the alii, this is referring to a different group, even though it's the same word. This alii is also nominative plural, but we're talking about different people, right? The some is this one. The others is the second. Other men. They discount, right? Discount means to learn. To come upon, to find. And that's it for chapter 9.